There's lots of good accountants out there. There's not lots of good accountants for entrepreneurs out there. You are always...
We're dangerous, aren't we?
You are dangerous, and you're always thinking fast and moving quickly, and I'm willing to come and move and think fast with you on that. Lots of my team, you'd break.
Hello team, welcome to, another Entrepreneurs Conversation with James Martin. I'll be speaking to my accountant. Not a lot of accountants are really suited to us, the weird entrepreneurs. However, mine is. So I'm going to introduce you to John, and it's John Holiday from Pocknells. Hello John, how are you?
Very well, thank you.
We have known each other a fair few years, and we've been in some dinner entrepreneur things that we do here at Baddow Park, and I've got to know you. You're now my accountant.
I am, yeah.
John, really, I wanted to, for people watching today, was to understand that your background to get into accountancy used to be like looking to be in professional football, and then you moved on to there, and you moved right the way through the ranks, and you ended up taking over the business that you worked for, didn't you?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
And all them years ago. But you have a talent of being really a very good entrepreneur yourself, and that kind of flies in the face of most accountants, because most accountants I've ever met are all very steady.
Yeah, I think I'm quite risky maybe for an accountant. Slightly risky.
Slightly risky, yeah.
Maybe not as risky as you.
Your personality is something of you are a big digester of information and new stuff, aren't you?
Yeah, I like that.
You like it, don't you? You put yourself on courses and you put yourself through the mill, don't you?
Yeah. I enjoy learning, I enjoy developing, I enjoy moving forward. If I don't move forward, then I think I would break quite quickly, probably like most of us. If I don't grow, I struggle. And
from the early days to now, what have you had those? We'd like to talk on here about what was the lowest point? Is there a low point that you've had?
Lots.
Yeah.
Very early on, we couldn't pay wages. That was a low point. Very early on to buying the business. There's been low points through all of this, really. Yeah.
Yeah.
And lots of high points. But
and you've got the accountancy. You're buying up other accountancies, aren't you? You're building that up. And what is your aim for that?
Where do I want to get to?
Yeah. On the turnover or the ownership of how much? How big do you want to get on the accountancy side?
Well, my goal says now 100 million turnover. I'll probably never get there, but that's what I'm aiming for.
You say this, you really annoy me. It really, really annoys me. Your self-worth sometimes you're crap at this.
I'm better at beating myself up.
But listen, John, you listen to me. You're so good at what you do. You just need to have more faith in what you do. That's so annoying when you say that. If you say that, your brain hears it and it goes, "Oh right, okay, we're not doing 100 million then." I quite see you as £100 million business.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit it's my driver. So my driver is that I say it's not doable, and then I have to prove to myself that it is.
Right, okay.
So it's a little bit my driver, and I work with a lady. I've worked with her for a long time, and she always says, "Shall we remove some of the things from the way that I look at things?" And we all have our own like weird quirks and things, don't we? So one of mine is, should we remove that? And I always say, no, you can't touch that.
Right.
So quite often I'll talk negatively about myself, but it's kind of like the beating myself up to G myself on, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like a double reverse, if you like. Yeah.
Kind of.
I used to tell people that I own that field, and I've just bought a brand new truck.
Yeah.
And I hadn't, and then I went, oh dear, I'll have to go and buy that field, or I'll have to go and get that truck. And it kind of made me, this is when I was a teenager, by the way, it made me sort of go there and produce it and keep faith.
Yeah, I think my whole life has been around someone, or even myself, saying I'm proud of myself. That's the thing that I think people struggle, or I personally struggle with, and I don't really like getting praise either. So I'm obviously a bit, must have some issues there or something. I don't particularly like receiving praise.
Right.
But if I'm not getting praise, I feel sad that I'm not getting it. But when I do get it, I don't want it. So it's kind of it's my motivator a little bit. Is the fact of me saying I want to do that, but I won't achieve it, and then it's my motivator to do it.
The praise thing is funny, isn't it? A few years, 15 years ago, I had to sort of do that myself. But people would say, oh, you've done a great job, and you say, oh no, that was nothing. Well, that kind of diminishes what they just said to you, because then they felt that they said it and it was wrong. And I ended up having to say, just say thank you. And that's all you need to say. So, oh, well, that's very kind, thank you.
And I don't really like it when people say thank you either to me for things. I find it awkward. It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I do believe that I've done work on myself in the past. I know you have. We've been on courses together where we've done it, and we've looked at where do we look at ourselves? Is it past, future, or present?
Yeah.
I'm like 95% future, 0% past, and very little present. So all I'm ever looking for is the future.
Right.
And I think the problem, and that's not typical of an accountant, because most accountants are working very heavily in the past. They're dealing with past data, they're dealing with maybe some present, but not a lot of future thought. Like my character is very much future, and I think that makes it very hard to recognise where you are today and what you've achieved in the past, because to me, I've done that, it was nothing, let's get on with the next thing now because I've got to do the next thing.
You've got to moving on from that. That was yesterday's news, if you like.
Yeah, and that's why I don't think we have many moments where we sit there and think, well, I don't have many moments where I sit there and think, oh, I've actually achieved something good here.
And John, do you feel that you are a success?
Not, I'm getting 100 million turnover.
Right.
So not really. But
so the 100 million turnover is
I'm
a strong goal
that,
out
the way.
there.
Well, nowhere near that. So, I mean, we're like 5 million or whatever we are now. We're nowhere near 100 million. And to be fair, 100 million in accountancy, if we were on our net profit, you'd be making 35-40% net profit. I'd be making an awful lot of money. It'd be brilliant.
Sounds like tree surgery in the old days.
But, you know, it took us 6 years or whatever it was to get to 1 million. It took us another 2 to get to 2 million. It took us another 1 to get to 4 million. It's quicker, isn't it? So now the scale's going.
You get the compound
of it all.
And you've got systems and processes that you build on.
And you know, and also the acquisitions get bigger. You go and buy a bigger firm, that's another couple of million bolted on, where before it was a couple of hundred.
You and I were out to dinner the other night and we were talking about it, about the sweat and effort, whether you're buying a £2 million business or you're buying a £20 million business. And you're involved now in some really big deals. And we were discussing them where it comes to the point where the bigger the deal, the easier it kind of is to do. It's the same sweat, but it's still solving the same issues, same problems, same taxations, or rest of it, but the numbers are just on a bigger scale.
Yeah, and I think the materiality of the errors becomes smaller as well. So if you've got 20 million profit or whatever it is, you know, 20 million turnover, and there's we missed this 50 grand thing that we didn't know about. Don't really matter, we've got 20 million turnover. Right. If you're doing it on a 200 grand, turnover company and you've missed a 10 grand problem, it's a bit of a problem, really.
It feels big, doesn't it?
So I think the bigger it gets, sort of less risky in a way the deal is. I mean, obviously you still need to do your due diligence, you still need to check it all works, but it definitely gets less riskier.
And you're now looking to actually make a whole, I don't know what you call a sector or whatever, is just acquisitions and mergers. So, and that's what you're going to specialise in personally doing that work on that. Yeah,
potentially I will. Yeah. I think we've got someone in our team who's going to go off and do a lot of courses and training on it as well, but we want to become a mergers and acquisitions firm. So
you've got that specialist tag to that sector.
Yeah, I mean, I want to still be sort of the seagull over the top that's just doing the commercial, the mouthpiece, the getting the people to talk and agree the terms, and the clever stuff will be done by the clever people.
If you're listening to this, I've never met anybody that is a better problem solver than you. You've been in the boardroom with me when I've been looking at buying businesses with the people we're buying from, and you've just smashed it. Calmly come up with new ideas, innovation ideas of how to solve them problems, and it is a bit of your superpower, isn't it?
Yeah, I've always been a good problem solver.
It kind of is, isn't it?
Yeah, but to me, it's like a sale, isn't it? So when you're sitting there, it's only the same as a sales meeting. You're trying to manipulate the other person into selling their business to you and doing it in a fair way. And a deal's only a deal if it's a deal for both sides. So for me, it's important. So I've sat there in meetings before where I've given tax advice to the other side on the knowing in my brain that that's going to mean that they trust me, they're going to want to deal with me, they're not going to want to deal with another party, they're going to want my client to buy them, they're not going to want another client to buy them. And if we structure a good deal from them from a tax point of view, then, and we've got their trust and their buy-in, they're going to want to sell to us. And if we're 50, 100 or whatever it is cheaper than the other offer, they're probably going to go with us because they trust us. So to me, it's all about the deal's got to be fair. I think you've always got to be ethical. I think I always am ethical, and I think
I totally agree. I mean, all that smoke and mirrors and stuff never works. It always ends up in tears, and it's just that ha moment we managed to grab that.
Screw them over for that. It's just not worth it.
Not worth it, and it's ethically right. I hang around with you, and you tell me what things you're up to. Is the language and the paragraphing and the explaining at the table when you're doing these deals, because some of them, they can get a bit complicated, can't they? And I think it's how you present it in a very digestible way. That's what I've commonly seen you do, and making it not for the layman, but for an easy digestion of people at the table.
But I think that's probably because I am not that smart. Like there's very smart accountants out there that I meet, and they talk to me, and I think, they can remember every bit
Oliver,
of legislation.
you've got to cut that out. You can't say that on our podcast.
Well, that's true, right?
No, you can't. You've got to cut that out. You can't do that. Oh my God, John.
Well, that's fair enough. The thing is, you get some really smart accountants and solicitors, and they know every legislation and everything like that. I don't. Yeah. I want to employ those people, and I want to talk in their language. I know you do, but you're very good. You're very good at finding those people, but you're very good at the overview of the deal, aren't you? Where you look down like a helicopter view on it and go, hold on a minute, guys, what are you doing that for? And you point things out, or you'll say, that's not very tax efficient. You're probably better off to pay it over 3 years. Yeah. And all of a sudden, we're looking at vendor finance that's more advantageous for both parties. For us and for them, because they're going to accumulate the money over a period of time that saves them tax. Yeah. Where do you see that in the future? What about your entrepreneur side of things, of acquisition? Because you're buying into the commercial sector, aren't you, for buildings and stuff? Yeah, we're doing a lot of property stuff as well. I mean, I like property. Yeah. I want to try and get my rental portfolio up as well. Yeah. I've got goals and numbers on there that I want to hit.
Come on, let's share them.
I'd like to get to 100 grand rental a month, which would be good. So 1.2 million a year rental, I'd like to get to that. Yeah. Probably, I should go back and say I won't do it. That's a stupid thing to say.
But I think you tell me off.
So, I think if you aim for these big numbers.
But you're constantly looking, aren't you, on all those platforms, Rightmove and every day, aren't you? Because you send me stuff, you see stuff on there. I'm trying to build up some glamping sites and stuff that we're doing. John constantly pings me stuff across, and we kind of work together to sharing ideas and doing stuff. And if you're listening to this or watching this, you need to find some people to work with that are in your camp. We're in each other's camp, aren't we? And we would definitely share ideas.
Yeah, but I share them with you because I know what you're looking for. If someone's looking for other bits, I share them with other clients. I know what my people are not. People tell me what they're looking for. If I will remember it. I've got a weird memory that memorises these things. Yeah. And I think, that person wants a fun fair, or that person wants a windmill in Suffolk, and ping it out all over the place.
And that's actually happening because we both of us do that with our friends and close colleagues. It just comes back to you in spades, doesn't it? You never know when you just might need to ask that person that you've helped in the past to just suddenly, I'm in a sticky, how do I get around this? And we've got good phone books, haven't we? Both of us have got very good phone books we can go into.
To me also, it does come back. If it doesn't come back and it helps someone else, it doesn't matter either, does it? It's a great thing for if you
feel right doing it, don't you, when you're doing that?
Yeah, I think it's a nice thing to do, and hopefully sometimes someone sends me one back and it's exactly what I'm looking for, and it's good, isn't it?
And what do you see? What sector do you see is for people listening and watching? What sector do you think has got growth in it? Is it commercial property? Is it residential? Is it
property side? Property side? I think commercial. It's got to be commercial at the minute. Yeah. I think the problem with resi is there's too many rules, there's too much legislation, and I think it keeps growing the legislation, which is all going in the tenant's favour and not the landlord's favour. You obviously don't get the capital appreciation often on the commercial, but you get a much higher rent yield, far more profit. And I just think it's a much easier thing to manage. For me, I just want easy management. It's not my, it's not my core job. It's meant to be, I was going to say, a bit of fun. It's not really fun, is it? But it's meant to be a bit of a goal and ambition. Yeah.
But it's turning them into slow yielding pounds, isn't it?
Just turning some quick trading profit into something that will sit there for 20 years and hopefully is paid off one day. And
John, what do you do? Do you put that in a separate company or in your personal name? How do you do it?
Separate company.
Separate company, yeah. And what do you think on that? Do you have any resi at all?
Yeah, so I've got 3 or 4 resi, and I'm about to convert a commercial into resi.
Right.
think.
So that's a contradiction on what you just said.
Yes, it is, but that's my building hat that I want to try and get good at, that I know you tell me off about.
God.
Here we go. It's a learning curve, isn't it? I want to be good at it.
It is a learning curve, but it's a steep curve. You're doing all those... Because they've just changed all the codes again for building regs. It's steep.
Yeah, but I'm just going to pay someone to do it, aren't I? And I'll just learn a bit along the way, and I know that it loses a bit of money, and I know that you told me off. And I totally agree with you. The police station wasn't ideal learning.
I just thought that would have been a broad enough scar in your back to say, right, that's it. Anything else we're going to do is just get permission and sell it with permission.
Well, the great thing about my memory is that I'm really good at forgetting what happened the day before and then going again, so it's quite good,
like
really.
Dora.
Yeah, I'm like, what happened? So, yeah, no, I do remember that being not great, but next one might be good, mightn't it? And to be fair, it wasn't not great. It was not great in that moment.
It was
I've got a beautiful building.
Painful and long-winded, wasn't it?
I learnt a lot. I paid for a cheap valuation, the cheapest. I shouldn't have done that. That cost me 300-400 grand in cash for 6 months that I had to find. That was not a good business decision. Yeah. But I think I was feeling a bit tight at the moment, at that point, and I thought, well, this one's cheap, let's go with this one. And it wasn't the right valuer for the right project.
But that scar is deep in there now.
I won't do that again. No, I will definitely get the better valuer next time.
Yeah. The valuation. Talk about valuations, because I've just done all this with some buildings we've just done. £12,000 for a valuation. Yeah. I had 2 young people here from a company that begins with S, and they were here for 3/4 an hour. Then they went off for 2 months. Then they came back with this great big glossy thing that was a bit of cut and paste and stuff. I wasn't impressed. They came up with the right numbers and it did the job what it was, but it just seems money for old rope. But it's all to do with the PI insurance, isn't it? Yeah. And the recognition of that brand. They love that brand, beginning with S. It's just, oh my God. But I think that the learning curves, I agree. I'm older than you. I don't want to learn that hard. That's hard learning.
It is hard learning, but to me it should be my part-time hobby learning. This isn't my job is an accountant. That is what I still see as my job, or the other businesses that I've got. I see them as my primary job and work. Building should be my sideline. It should be what I'm doing when I've got a spare 10 minutes in the evening. I should be talking to the builders or the surveyors.
And what do you think you're going to do then? You're going to understand that building well and set to, so you can look at doing other projects?
So my original plan, if we go back years, my original plan was always that I would buy accountancy firms with an office. Right. And then places like 10, 15 years old or whatever it was, probably isn't now, but whenever it was effectively we would convert the offices into resis over time and centralise the offices. Right. It doesn't really work like that anymore. And to be fair, now I want to buy accountancy firms, because I was always looking at small accountancy firms. I was looking at little old boy with 500 grand's worth of fees or 300 grand's worth of fees. I don't want to do that anymore. I want to be, millions of turnover and systems and people in place that I can...
And how do the bank recognise those acquisitions they come across?
They like them.
Do they?
Accountancy is quite sticky. Right. It's a sticky income. Right. It's normally a good profit. There's a lot of longevity in it. Yeah. They're normally well established. Okay. So the banks like accountancies. The slight problem is there's a lot of PE firms in our sector at the minute. Right. So there's a lot of private equity buying accountancy, which is driving the price up quite high.
And do you want to share on the pod your other hobbies? Because you're quite a farmer, aren't you? Changing the tone of the pod a bit here.
Right.
Well, your house has got animals everywhere. What's going on?
Don't know. I don't really know why it has. I think...
But what have you got? Share what you've got. What have you got?
I've got sheep and alpacas and dogs and chickens and children.
You can't class them in the same.
Oh, yeah, they're animals, they are. No.
Because when I phone you up, I phone you and I say, "What are you doing?" You say, "I'm just on the tractor, doing my stuff, doing stripes and doing stuff."
I quite like putting the stripes in the lawn. That's one of my favourite.
Is it a bit of a solace? So I
think it's great, isn't it? I think if I put a book on my headphones and just walk up and down striping the lawn up.
No, I'm a bit the same on that.
My wife can't moan because I'm doing a chore. No. And everything's good, really. The world's good for that day.
And what is going on? Can we get a bit political? What is Trump going to do to us, do you think? Do we think we're going to get ripples of what's going on over there?
I'm sure we will, long term. I mean, I think rates will drop, won't they? I think he's probably going to...
Do you think they will?
Yeah.
They've started to come down,
in America, they're starting to... Yeah. I saw something actually earlier about mortgage rates dropping, which again, that's sort of a key that they think they're going to drop, isn't it, when the products start dropping. So hopefully I don't know if it's good or not if they drop really, but there's pros and cons to
I
it.
find it really difficult to let me get drawn in on that politics, because I can't do personally anything really to change it. I'm just a small, little cog in it all. I just make sure that the bubble that I work in, the environment and the my little mini world that I've got with all the businesses has fitness, and it's fit that if something does change that we're okay. And just to have those sort of bits of reserves and to make sure that we've got enough sort of bounce in us to be able to sort of rough a storm. And it's been, the last, say, 3 years, it has been a bit all over the place, isn't it? We've gone through some real big changes with the interest rates and, waiting for we're going to get a Labour government, now they're in, and then all the changes they make. And it just makes people put their hands in their pockets and not bring any money out sometimes, doesn't it?
Yeah, it shuts up the spending, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
Which is actually the killer, because I think for a lot of our clients at the minute, it's not the fact that they're not making profit. So a lot of people that we're talking to are saying, yeah, we're making profit, but we haven't got any money in the bank. And the problem is that people are very slow releasing money at the minute.
Right.
All the way through, people are holding payments because they're worried about when their money's going to come in, and it just trickles down, doesn't it? And that's what
has that ripple effect, and it just goes round in a circle.
That's what causes the issues, really. It's not really the fact that the work isn't.
Well,
there.
it affects the cash flow, doesn't it? And the cash flow is super key to these, especially some of these smaller businesses, isn't it? I mean, just tip them over the edge. A bad month.
But I mean, even the bigger businesses, if you've got, £500,000 worth of wages going out at the end of the month, that's a big worry, isn't it? It's a lot of money you got to find, so it's tricky. There's going to be some tricky times coming.
We employ quite a lot of casual workers here, and when I look at what she's done with that, that's tough. Holiday payments from day one, sickness from day one.
Employee rights have changed a lot.
Employee rights have changed a lot, haven't they?
Yeah. So I don't see it getting better very quickly, to be honest. It's going to be I think it's going to be quite tough, and I think the biggest problem is that I don't know where they're going to get the money from all the things they need, and you can't keep raising taxes. It won't.
Well, no, I mean,
it's not sustainable.
I don't think it's sustainable. I think that will collapse eventually, but I think the other thing is that the vendor only has to just put the price up, and that's all that's left. So that means that everything becomes more expensive. That means that everybody needs to put bigger wages, and inflation goes up. So that's sort of going in reverse, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't worry, because I don't worry anymore. I've stopped doing that. I do have to have concern to take action to make sure that we're fit enough to go through what could possibly happen, and I'm concerned about that.
I think if you make your own economic climate, which probably a lot of us, not a lot of us, a lot of business owners are in, then you should be able to weather this. It's just a case of plotting it. I mean, I think for me, it's always about forecasting, budgeting, and making sure you're holding yourself accountable to those forecasts and budget. And it's not necessarily your P&L forecast. Like for us, the one that scares the absolute life out of me, nearly swore then, but I didn't for you. The one that really scares the life out of me is when our sales pipeline starts drying up, or when I can see that we haven't got enough leads coming through, or I can see that we're not converting high enough, or that's the one that scares me, because that one to me is the one where I'm thinking, we're not going to keep getting future work.
What do you do as accountants as a funnel to get more customers? How does that work?
Yeah, we do a lot. We've got a few people in our marketing team now. Spend a lot of money on AdWords, build a lot of landing pages. We invested in HubSpot, which was an expensive marketing tool system. And so it tracks everything, tracks how long people spend on certain elements of our website, it tracks where they're clicking, it tracks what's working and what's not working, and then we analyse that data. And
you've got a set of staff that just do that, just to make sure that funnel of finding new people, bringing it in.
Just keeps going. And that because for me, when we started as an accountancy firm, the thing that was the most depressing thing in the world, so I started as an apprentice, as you sort of said earlier, and I got through and I qualified, and then when I qualified as an accountant, they said, do you want to be a partner? And I came in, and what happened, which was really, really annoying, was we had no money. I didn't do any due diligence. I just was really excited that someone was giving me the opportunity to come in. And we were awful. We were not a good business. And looking back on it, when you look back, I would never touch that business now. We had no marketing, we had no advertising, we didn't even have a sign above our building saying we were accountants. So, and then we didn't get any new leads, which was almost obvious but totally shocking at the time.
So your client base was just gently dying away, literally.
Yeah. And then we had to change it. So it happened that we got hit for a bad debt, which wasn't a lot of money now, but it was a lot of money then. We couldn't pay wages. We were always sort of half paying people and then saying, can you wait till the middle of the month to give you the other half? So it's just we're chasing our tail everywhere. And that was when I think I must have read a book, and I can't remember what the book was, and it was about sales. And I was like, this is what we need to do. We need to do this thing called sales.
Right.
What are they? And then basically went off to BNI. That was my kickstart of it all. And did some networking, and I hated it. I thought, this is awful. I can't do this. And then obviously it's developed, and it's never looked back really, and just kept going.
Because we've worked together in a couple of mastermind meetups that we do, and we've been through that. I know we've done a couple of years of that, haven't we?
Yeah.
And now we're kind of in them for other people to actually give advice and help and stewardship with what they're doing. I think when we look at entrepreneurs and we look at how they perform and what they do, it seems a bit whiz-bang crash, and they think everything's possible that they can do, positive thinking that, but they actually need to get down to some basic, cash flow forecasts.
Yeah.
That you need to have it. Weekly management accounts. A bookkeeper that's loading stuff daily onto Xero, so you can see with a press of a button exactly where you are.
Yeah.
And that is really real important. Those dashboards are so important, aren't they?
Yeah, well, we have clients come to us and they say we're struggling, and they say, what should we do about it? And we say, well, you haven't got any data for us to look at. They literally are just running off bank statements or whatever it is. Right. And they look like they're struggling, but I don't know if they're owed, £1 million is going to come in tomorrow, or they owe £1 million to go out tomorrow. I don't know. So, it's about educating these clients that come to us and saying, come join us and we'll put you on a digital platform that allows you to see this.
Because when you came to our offices a few years ago, we asked you to come in, and we said we would pay you to do an audit of where we were with our existing accountants back then, and where you could add value. And I remember your presentation on that, and it really made me look close at the business as an owner, because you came up with, this is fine, they're doing a great job here, but over here, this is awful. And there's a massive hole in it. And it was able to see, and I've been a bit advocate of this, whether it's planning permission, accountancy, banking, whatever, is to have a third eye come in. And that's what you did for us back then. And it's been, completely changed how we work in the office. Yeah. Your guys come in and do training with my staff that do our accounts and stuff in-house. And I think that, people listening and watching this, you need to make sure that engine room that's doing invoicing out, collecting money, collecting bloody money. People are awful at it, aren't they? Yeah. It's all to do with cash flow. And you have one hiccup, and if you've not got that reserve of money in the tank, it can floor you. And I think that the one thing we were speaking about the other night, John, was you were talking about if people would only come to you earlier when they're thinking of building a business, or they're thinking of buying a business, and they say, oh, actually, I've bought it. And you go, all right, on what terms? Yeah. Well, it's a bit bloody late then, isn't it?
You can't do a lot of negotiation then, can you?
No, not really.
So it's, I wish people did speak to us sooner on everything, really. Yeah. But, I mean, it's... because I just think quite often people emotionally get caught up in the deal or whatever it is. Yeah. I'm not that emotional about it. It's not my deal. No. So I can tell you it's a stupid idea, or this is the best idea ever, but let's do it this way, or you've nailed it, let's go.
And you're a good advocate for me for that, because I'll throw something at you. I found this, it's all exciting and bubbly, and you'll just go, well, yeah, but it doesn't really earn that much money. And I go, well, what do you mean? We were trying to buy that other business the other month. Yeah. And when we got down to it, it wasn't very profitable. I was also excited about it. To have someone, a confidant, to be able to do that of your calibre and expertise, it saves us a fortune, because we saved all the time, not going to bother with it anymore, and it looked like it would have been a hard sweat. I'm sure we would turn it around, but it's like bloody hell, it's like pushing lead uphill, it's like...
But the reality is most of the people that we we know and we hang around with and do things with, they would turn anything around anyway, because they would literally work every hour of the day or
to pull it round,
or pull in the experts and pay as much money as they needed to pull it round. So they would
or do the learning curve and just
100%. I honestly think most of us could run any business and we'd run it pretty well.
Yeah, I agree.
Because we wouldn't not run it well. I think the difference is should you waste all that time to get there when you could buy 3 or 4 that actually are decent and work.
But we were talking also about where we're going to get a deal and buy this company cheap and the rest of it. And over, say, the last 3 or 4 years, our mentality, both of us, and when we were working with James Sinclair as well, our mentality on that has changed, hasn't it? Because we're looking to probably buy better businesses with better people in them for a fair price. We always want a deal, or we're going to try and do some vendor finance or buy half or do a lease back or whatever it might be. But they just are easy to acquire and then run. Even we were going to have a ton of borrowing in there, but usually if they're good enough businesses, they kind of pay for the borrowing. They service themselves, don't they?
So for me, if it serves as a borrowing, it's not it's 4 years of pain or whatever it is, and it's not even painful. And
that's without us even coming in with our entrepreneur glitter and throwing it over it to get the revenues up or to slick things down to make them more profitable.
Yeah, or to look to cross-sell to your other companies. If you've got, for me at the minute, the whole acquisition thing on accountancy is because they push into the other companies lovely. So, it's all part of a bigger picture plan, isn't it?
And what's it like for you finding operatives, finding accountants? What's that like at the minute?
Tricky.
Is it?
It's a massive skill shortage at the moment in the accountancy world.
And what, are youngsters not going into it then?
They are. The problem is they pulled a lot of funding, so the apprentice scheme's is expensive now. Okay. We are still doing it. My heart says we should keep doing it. Like I love it. I believe it gave me an opportunity that I didn't get through school, and I wouldn't have got. I don't know what I would have done. I probably would have done something that needed no required selling, but no qualification.
Football, you keep telling us how good you were at football.
I definitely wasn't. That was my dream job. It wasn't the job that I thought
John's
I'd get.
dream job was to be a professional footballer. And why was it? Just because you wanted him to want your autograph?
Well, I thought that'd be quite good if I was famous.
Listen, we'll get someone to ask you your autograph. Oliver will ask you your autograph later.
That'd be brilliant if you can. I've got to work out how to do it. But once I've worked that out,
he's got to work out which one he's going to use.
Do you know something right on this? I went to the when you have a child, I went to the birth, whatever it's called, registered the birth of my child, and signed my name on it. And they went to me, "What does that say?" Like my signature. I went, "Oh, it says John Holiday." She went, "No, it doesn't. What does it say?" I'm like, "I don't actually know. It's just a load of squiggly lines." So, my signature doesn't even say my name.
Right, no. Mine doesn't say my name. I'm terrible for it.
And
we do it so much, don't we? I just did we moved all the banking across from one bank to another. There was about 40 bloody forms to sign. I was just doing, and at the end of it, I was thinking, this doesn't look like the first one I started doing the signature, but there you go.
It's quite good fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
But no, I did want to be a football player. I did like football, but that wasn't to be. So then I ended up being an apprentice, and I think for me, the apprenticeship scheme gave us a lot of opportunity that I do want other people to have. I'm a big believer in giving opportunities. I do. No,
I agree with you. And I'm the same. I think that and I've said this before on another podcast, that this whole thing that Daniel Priestley has this thing where he talks about an entrepreneur's apprentice. And you know, instead of just diving in there at 20 years old and becoming this thing that you trip up, fall over, and you'll get there eventually, was to go and find where you want to be, the type of business you want to be in, and go and work there for free for 6 months, 8 months, 10 months. Even if they just pay you a little bit of money, but just open your eyes up, learn it all, just be around the sector, whatever the sector is you want to be in, because that will be like a university education on steroids, wouldn't it, with the right person.
We had someone the other day who rang up and he said, can I speak to John?
Yeah.
A young kid. And he said, I want to speak to him to find out more about the accountancy career. So I spoke to him, actually. I didn't really know him, but I spoke to him. And anyway, now he's coming for a job because I said he's coming for an interview. I'm sure he will get through.
Yeah.
But he spoke so lovely on the phone. He was so interested in it.
Yeah.
And I thought, you've got to give this person this opportunity because they've gone out their way to... It's different to saying, here's my CV in an envelope. He actually wanted to talk to me about the career.
And I did a thing on Instagram where I was just talking about help. Use the word help. You know, you'll be so surprised, won't you? If you just walk out and just say, "Can you help me?" I mean, it's just powerful stuff, and people just think, "Well, no, you know, I'll keep my dignity. Don't worry about that, and just go for the help."
Do you know? I honestly believe that some of the ways that some entrepreneurs I know do so well is because they're not worried about saying, "I need £100,000. Can someone help me? I need X. Can someone help me? I need to know a planning consultant. Can someone help me?"
Or you hear the story where they go, "Oh no, actually that company went skint because just they said, well, what was the problem? Well, I owed 150 grand." She said, "Well, why didn't you talk to someone? Or talk to me? You know, for such small amount." But their dignity allowed them to not ask for help.
But the ones that say it, like the amount of things I've had happen to me where I've just said, because I'm quite an open person. I'm similar to you. We talk, don't we? And we say things. I say something, and someone will go, "Yeah, I'll help you with that," and I think, "Will you?" And some of the things I've had, I mean, I maybe had 7 figures lent to me just on someone saying, "Oh, I'll help you," and they helped me for 6 months with it, and it was a lovely thing. And
but I think that we do, you and I do work in quite a big community of very wealthy entrepreneurs that we help and work with and stuff like that. And I advise anybody watching this, if you're not in those groups wherever you are, get involved. Get involved with some mastermind, research, but some mastermind courses. Get involved with an entrepreneurs group. You will meet people that are like-minded. You'll find your clan to be involved with. And listen, when John and I are out, all we do is talk numbers, business, and acquisitions and stuff we're doing, because that floats our boat. That's what we get.
Really annoys the other restaurant people.
It does. It really does. we glare at people when they start singing "Happy Birthday." Yeah. We're in the middle of a very serious conversation.
We ruin everyone's date, but there you go. Other than that, we're good.
Ollie, what have you got for us? We're gonna do a question or something.
Yeah, so we've got a question this week as our segment, and the question is for both of you: how do you think AI will impact your business in the next 10 years?
Hopefully not much as far as taking any of my work away from me, my stuff. I mean, we're in the service industry and sort of all our warehousing. So, I mean, it will help us, Ollie. It will help us definitely be more creative with branding stuff and writing, scripts and do it. We used to, John, have someone down in the West Country, an independent, do all our copywriting. Mm-hmm. She's gone. We just do it with the chat GTP and it's done. That's it done. Mm-hmm. Do you use it already?
Yeah. Where we use it, we've got to be a bit careful what we use it for. We're actually looking at getting some, I don't know what it's called, but like internal linked ring to be our own AI effectively. So we're in talks with people at the minute about getting our own Popnall's AI, which will sit on our server and doesn't go anywhere. But yeah, we use a lot of AI. We've got AI on a lot of our systems. We've even got AI that will reply to our emails in our tone, which is a bit worrying. But that's in one of our softwares that we've got.
Will it come and take accountancy away?
It's definitely going to have impact. I mean, you've got to bear in mind that accountancy has been a sector that's been quite heavily affected by, I don't know if it's AI as such, but by computer systems. Right. So when you had Dext come in, Dext, you could take a picture of a receipt and it would put that receipt and all the data onto zero. So it basically take away 30, 40, 50% of a bookkeeper's job was gone.
The actual ledgering.
Ledgering, yeah, which was good. And I mean, I guess it's like anything, isn't it? When you're in that thing, it feels like your job's going, but actually what happens is you actually just push on, because now you're not doing that bit, you're actually doing the more important bit. You're actually making sure that there is cash flow. You're doing the cash flow forecast or you're doing the budget, where before you would have been putting the data in and you'd have been saying to your boss effectively, I haven't got any time to do anything else.
Because you're doing that.
So I think it takes away a lot of the mundane tasks, which is brilliant. I think going forward, AI is going to hit us really, really hard in our sector. I suspect that we will be. I suspect that most financial statements will be produced by AI. I think Xero will have it rolling out in no time, that it produces a set of accounts in a very good standard through AI.
And does that worry you even when you're still doing acquisitions of other accounts?
It doesn't really worry me at all, because I actually, it doesn't really worry me at all. Right. Because I think that if it does that, there's so many other things we can do. We'll just develop with it. We'll just go forward and we'll just say, here's your Xero accounts. Now let us explain them to you. Let us work with, we're just going to more of a mentoring, coaching role with the clients rather than an accountancy doing the past data.
See, and that's where your creative brain comes in, because you lean into where that is, where we would never think of that service from our accountants, that they would actually start doing some structured conversation of how to make the money flow in a better way. You know, with more dashboards, more checking and balances. I always worry that people go, oh well, it's accountancy time now. You know, at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Well, it's not. Accountancy time's every week.
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah.
It should be once a quarter
Yeah,
at least.
yeah, at least. Yeah, at least.
I mean, that's to me. I mean, I look at my numbers every day. I know I'm an accountant, but actually, I don't really like looking at them. But I do look at them every day, and like I said earlier, the numbers change.
But you prefer charts than numbers, don't you?
Yeah, I do prefer graphs. And actually, what I want to see on the graphs is I want to see what this. So for me, the one I always look at, which I said earlier, is sales.
Yeah.
So when I'm looking at the sales graphs that come through, I'm like, how many did we get last week compared to this time a year ago?
Yeah.
How many new leads did we get? How many did we convert? How many this month, that month? And I'm literally, as long as I can see growth, I'm happy. If I don't see growth, that's not good. And then off I go again.
I used to move accountants every 5 years because I thought they got complacent. Do you think that's found? That's a
maybe it's a good idea. I don't know. I mean,
you don't want to say that because you don't want everybody to disappear who's been 5 years with you.
Well, I've got to be honest. I don't really totally agree with you on it, but I know that you say it. And,
Go on, speak about that then.
Well, I think I know lots about you that if you went and built another relationship with a new accountancy firm, would take several years to get up to speed with you.
Right.
A fast-paced client is not easy to keep up with, and the reality is, if you go and move accountants every 5 years as a fast-paced client, they'll just have got good and you'll be moving on again.
Yeah. Okay,
so I think that is and also there's lots of good accountants out there. There's not lots of good accountants for entrepreneurs out there. That is another thing I would say because you are always...
We're dangerous, aren't we?
You are dangerous and you're always thinking fast and moving quickly, and I'm willing to come and move and think fast with you on that.
Yeah.
Lots of my team, you'd break.
Yeah.
And you would break. That's why I have to forward face it. But then But
that makes you a very busy person, doesn't it? Because you've got quite a lot of us, but it's
It does make me busy, but it doesn't... I don't feel like overwhelmed by it or anything. I don't do a lot of accounts work anymore.
No, you don't.
But I don't really like doing that as much anymore anyway, so it doesn't matter. I think my team and my team are better at it. Like, I know the other day one of your team asked me a payroll question. I haven't got a clue about payroll.
No.
I don't know a thing about it. I just talk to my payroll team. I don't.
Yeah.
You know, so I think we've got to play to our strengths, haven't we, when we're doing these things? And my strength is helping people like you, helping you plan, helping you plot. Yeah. And getting it working.
Because I think that the one thing that you've given me is more confidence to do things, because I know that, and the one thing that you really help me with is we're all very busy, but I'll text you and you'll always come back to me with, I'll speak to you in half an hour, just in a meeting, this, that, and that, or text me what the question is, see if I can answer it on text, because I can text while I'm in this meeting. And it might be, and I realise everybody's bit, and I just want the smallest thing, but I kind of want an answer pretty quick, because I'm going to say yes or no to something, and you're very good at doing that.
Thank you.
John, if people are interested in having you do an audit, look at them, whatever, where do they find you?
So on our website, which is Pocknalls with a P, .co.uk. Then look us on there. You'll see us all and book meetings, and we'll jump in.
But I think really look at where you are today with your current accountants. See what you're doing. Think about all things numbers. So thank you, John. Thanks for coming in, and I've enjoyed it. And hopefully we'll make loads of money together going into the future. That's the whole idea. Thank you.